Good afternoon, Amazon
Long time.
sellers. I am joined by the industrious Thomas Parkinson and the not so industrious Gavin Sweeney.
Wait, why am I not
Hope everyone
industrious?
is
What?
fantastic. That doesn't matter. It's just part of
Hold
the
on.
intro.
Pause, pause, pause. Why am I not industrious, Seth? Yeah, stop.
It was a joke, and you clearly
Okay.
nibbled on it, so I win. Today, we're going to be talking
Okay.
about the impending or already pending Amazon fee increases for FBA sellers and a little bit about repricing and apparently a little bit about hotels. We're going to start with the fees because apparently a lot of people on the forums and the Facebook groups and the social medias have been complaining. Gavin or Tom, would you like to start with how it's either impacting your business or how you manage, how you're going to approach this if you are at all? What's the plan of action? What's your strategy, tactics towards
Okay.
combating this?
So I am impacted by this quite heavily. Like return fees are going up, and the fees are changing, so it goes more dimensional. So as someone who does a lot of shoes and apparel, like I'm definitely massively impacted by this in our USA business. What am I doing? Well, we've moved to much more expensive shoes. So, like, I think the cheaper shoes are being hit way worse than anything else because you have fixed fees for returns, right? And if those fixed fees are going up, the impact is on selling cheaper shoes. Like, let's say you have a 15% return rate on like a $60 shoe that's sold, or you have a 18% return rate on a $200 shoe. Well, like, really, you can still sell like free shoes or the returns is like 3 to 1 or something like that. So you're going to get hit so much harder on the cheaper shoes. So we've moved to more expensive shoes. Also, I'm also looking at very slowly moving away from shoes as well. Like, if the thing is, if Amazon is constantly increasing fees and return rates are also going up due to the economic climate, for me, that puts shoes in a risky long-term position. So I'm happy to continue doing expensive shoes, but I also want to move away from shoes and do smaller items in general, like smaller items, much lower return rate. So I think with that kind of positioning, I'm more safeguarded for the future of my business. Unless I can get into like shoe wholesaling, which I have like one shoe wholesale, but we're not buying that much of them from them. So it's kind of like
Can I
shoe
counter?
wholesaling. Pardon?
Can I just counter you? Just while you were saying that, I was just thinking,
Yeah, go on.
if because fees are increasing, do you anticipate a lot of FBA sellers to be leaving the shoe market like you're planning on, and then maybe that leaves an opportunity because there'll be slightly less competition, or is that not something that you anticipate happening?
Okay, so this is a very, very, very good question, and it's a challenging one to answer because the new category that most people join is shoes. Like a lot of new people join shoes, and a lot of people don't understand the metrics. They don't understand how much money they're actually making with shoes because it is hard to understand. Right, the return rate is so high. So if people don't know their numbers and they think they're making money, but they might not be, or they might be making less than they thought, why would they move away? Because to them, they still think it's good, but they don't have the right data to see that. And shoes is very heavily pushed all over Twitter. I don't think shoes is going to be reducing in volume of sellers that quick. I think there's a lot of people in shoes who don't make as much money as they think they do, though.
So let me just ask you another question then.
Yeah.
That just got me thinking again because books is obviously harder now because of the increased FBA fees and storage fees, and they don't like the fact that we've got books that take a while to sell. I was thinking, because I obviously bought a few shoes, a number of the shoes that I actually personally sourced just because I was interested in it were Amazon to Amazon flips. So I was buying some shoes that Amazon only had 3 in stock, and you could see that they go out of stock periodically. I bought some of those in, say, December, and some of them have only just sold in the last couple of days for a really good profit because Amazon's gone off the listing. So I was thinking,
Yeah.
if you were able to do FBM, if you had a warehouse, or if you are a US resident and you've got space in your garage or whatever, shoes could be quite good FBM, couldn't they? I know
Yeah, I think so. I think
we talk
shoes
more
are a
about
bang
FBA,
on
but I think that could
FBM.
work.
You can also reduce a lot of the scams with that as well, because we get a lot of switcheroos, we get a lot of used return shoes and stuff like that, and really that hits into your margins quite a lot. Because not only are you paying for the return fees, the FBA fees for shoes is expensive because they're big, right? So you pay for the FBA shoe there and back, then you pay for a return fee, and then you get the shoe back. You have to then do a dispatch fee back to your warehouse, and then you realise the shoes all scuffed up, and Amazon decline a reimbursement. With FBM, you pretty much eliminate all of that. So I definitely think
Yeah,
FBM is a very good way forward for shoes, and that's a very good point.
yeah, it's just whether you can be bothered to either find a warehouse that's willing to put up with your shoe returns, or whether you've got space yourself, or if you actually live there. But just for anyone listening, I reckon that just from what I saw when I was doing my minimal amounts of shoe sourcing, that there's definitely lots of opportunity to make money FBM, because there's not that many FBA sellers on a lot of shoes, because some of them are so fast selling, right, that the FBA sellers sell out and there's plenty of time for the FBM sellers to make a sale.
Yeah,
Just
depending
what I
on the
noticed
BSR
anyway.
you go for, yeah.
Top tips here. Thomas, what have you made of this recent news?
While you were obviously busy talking about shoes, I found the numbers between the previous and before. So let me screen share.
Oh, fantastic. First ever screen share.
Can I do this one? I know, it's like, oh my...
Screen share the podcast?
It is.
I think so.
I've got my highlighter pen on as well, so that would be even more helpful.
Oh, the YouTube viewers.
Right. There you go, I've got my orange highlighter pen so you can see.
Illustrate what you're saying as well. Obviously you will.
So on the left-hand side, we've got the fulfillment fees from before 2021, after 2021, this is the UK, by the way, and Europe. Yeah. And now we've got the ones that just happened. So you can kind of see 3 changes, which is quite interesting. So you've got here, small envelope 138 went up to 146, now 171. Quite a bit. There might be, you said that there could be one which happens in between this 2002, but I don't think there is. I couldn't find one. When I scrolled up and had a look, I couldn't see it. I could only see the prices. Oh, undo that. Undo the prices there. So the idea here is I can only see these. I can see these prices. So you got like 146, 171, 156, 181. You know, if you're going like standard parcel, like you'd probably say your standard parcel 210, which is 150 grand, now is 279, extra 60p on top of your prices. So it's kind of adding up quite a bit. Yeah, and I mean, even if you're looking like, even Germany's gone 266 to 312, so it's certainly adding up. And you know, you got your part. If you're getting like bigger items, what's the size of a shoe, Gavin? Is that like a standard parcel?
I think it's like standard large. Hold on. It normally has it for apparel on.
Small, oversized.
I think it's not apparel separate.
I don't know. I'm just going to get a feel. But even if you're doing like larger items, say like small oversized, what's the variation on that one? Small oversized here is going to be UK 416, and then small oversized on this side. Oh, no, I'm skipping too much, sorry. Small oversized, 506. 40 odd P. So at least 10%, probably sometimes maybe 20% across the board.
Yeah, that seems to be the general percentage range, doesn't it? Which is no small amount, especially for businesses that are running on low margins.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the item, so you can just increase the prices across the board. Increases in pricing leads to increase in returns, especially for something like expensive items already. Definitely an interesting one. But that's huge. That is huge. When you factor in those fee increases with the rest of the fee increases happening across the board, that's definitely a big impact on most businesses.
Of course, any increase is going to be a big impact.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's a bit.
It's hitting smaller sellers more, I think, though. It just makes it harder and harder for smaller sellers to grow.
Yeah, and I think also, I think I'm going to go back to your point of just increasing in the value, going up in higher value items. That's it, because the fee, and also as well, you want lower return rates. Why? Because for every item you return, you're paying double 2 FDA fees, effectively.
Exactly. That's why we've jumped to like such expensive shoes and want to do other stuff as well. But small and light. Let's go to small and light. So small and light used to be ludicrous, then became really bad, then became ludicrous. That has to be the most volatile market I've seen. Amazon doesn't seem to have like any control over how small and light is handled well. So I've seen.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
Like, I just know people have been doing it for a while. It's like they'll be getting like 50% ROI, then they'll wake up after the fee change, you got 8% ROI. It's like, what? And then they make a change to small and light to make it good again. So then they make a change to make it good again. So now it's good. Then the fees will change again. Now it's shit. And it just goes. It just goes in an endless circle, man. The stress levels of people doing small and light must be like a roller coaster.
Is small and light something like an iPhone case? Like my iPhone case, is that going to be small and light?
Yeah. In the USA, I think it's $12 and under, and it's like a small parcel item.
Yes. So in the UK, it's now changed from £9 to £10. In the EU, it's gone from $11 to 12, or €11 to €12. It's gone up, so you're still eligible. But your problem, again, it's like generally anything which can fit in an envelope. You kind of think about fitting it through your door.
Well, like a pad. So it could be a padded envelope. So it doesn't actually have to be that light, because you could put quite a relatively heavy item in a padded envelope, couldn't you? But obviously, I assume there's a weight limit on it as well.
Interesting enough, large envelope, 960 grams is the highest for small and light. I can see here they've created new weight tiers, but nearly a kilogram, which is a pretty heavy weight to put in an envelope, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was thinking you could fit in like little notebooks and like journals and stuff, like small ones. That would class.
Yeah.
So people must be making a killing doing some sort of personalised journal, like workout journals or stuff like that.
Is that your private label idea, Seth?
Maybe. No, I feel like that's flooded.
Yeah.
That's flooded, isn't it? There's so many people doing that. If you type in something like notebook or notepad or journals.
It's interesting because Amazon want you to do small and light, but they also eliminate you from doing very cheap small and light because the fee increases too much to do small and light. So because they do that, they then have to increase the price limit for small and light so people can make profit. So maybe every time they increase the price for small and light, you can assume the fees is going up. I wonder if that's actually
it's so new that they're still trying to work it out. But anyone who jumps in that, fair play to them, because, as you say, very volatile, risky.
There's still opportunity everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just obviously businesses have to adapt. And should we say, Gavin was saying he was doing a lot of shoes when he first started. And if you follow his journey, he definitely was in the US. And now he's we're moving away from it, a lot more than what we were. And by the way, the last 3 years, 4 or 5 years have probably been very heavy shoes in the US. And now people are like, oh, you probably shouldn't because it's costing me a lot more than I thought it would.
Yeah. Have you done any small and light, Tom? I know you don't ever look at what you source or sell, but do you know?
No, it's actually on my jobs list today. Someone asked a really good question. It was if you have items which are we're trying to push our average price up. If you look at our numbers, we went from 4 months ago, £26 average sale price. We're now £38. So it's a pretty significant jump in about 4 months. And we're continuing to go that way. The US, by the way, is 60, 70 or something. Don't quote me. But I know it's a lot higher. And when we look at the numbers, we notice, obviously, you see that the percentage of revenue which is attributed towards FBA fees is a lot smaller in the US than it is in the UK. Just due to the fact that FBA fees are fixed versus a fixed. So if your revenue's up, the fixed amount represents a smaller proportion. So we're going that way. But one person did say maybe there's an opportunity if you've got the lower end, you can enroll those items into a small and light program. And it will cut the cost of the FBA fee. And should we say, if you've got items which are normally, let's say for example, small and light's £12? Normally you've got a product which is £13 selling, fantastic. Well, once if you're not making much money on it, maybe even breaking even, once if you were to put it down to 12 in small and light, you'd now become profitable because the FBA fee reduces down dramatically. Yeah. That might be a consideration. So I want to have a look, but I don't think we have anything that low. If anything, it might be a good idea to clear it down, but it's not something that we look at.
We have quite a few items like that on our wholesale, small and light. And there's quite a few items which is just $1 or $2 above. It's okay, we'll just set the max price to the maximum for small and light, and you just get so much more margins. It's such a big difference.
So how much money? Obviously, it depends on the site. Well, everything's a similar way. But so how much money are you sourcing these small and light items for then? What's the full cog?
Oh, it's you buy them for $2 and you sell them for $12, or you buy them for $1.50. Yeah, between $1.50 and $3.50, something like that. Sell them for $12.
It's good ROI.
It's going to make a very good margin. Yeah, you're looking 50
thousands of them.
Yeah, you buy them in the hundreds for sure. So it has to be ideally it's got to be very quick sellers. Unless you want to go very wide across slower sellers, which is also fine. But I would never accept 20 or 30% ROI for small and light. It just seems too volatile. And when the profit is that small, maybe something can go wrong. I don't know. It's just in my head. Maybe you're not adding something up properly. So there's less room for error when the profit is so small. So I want at least 50% ROI for small and light. So I feel like I'm covering.
Well, I guess unless you're buying thousands at a time, it's not too bad taking a lower ROI. But I guess if you're making more money elsewhere,
yeah, but thousands
no need to worry about it.
You could be doing thousands up. You could be doing thousands per month over many different essence, right? So then you're still easily accomplishing that. And it's the same risk across all of them because they all present the same risk. So that's how I see it. I see all the small and light as a collective. It's the same with like putting like 20k in beauty and putting 20k in small and light. I see it as its own category.
What about oversize, actually? Tom, have you ever done any like oversize stuff?
Yeah, probably. I think we've had stuff that's been so big we probably couldn't actually ship it into Amazon once we realised it. I remember seeing it. Like my team once. This is years and years ago. I've still got a picture of it somewhere. They bought a goalpost which was so big it was taller than the roller shutters for the warehouse. It was in the cage. It went like 2 foot above that. I was like, what the hell? And do you know what we did? It was an Amazon flip. It was an Amazon flip from Germany. So it had been shipped from Germany to the UK to be shipped. And I was like, guys, check the fucking dimensions. Like, or just look at the FBA feeds. It's like,
were you annoyed or did you just laugh? That'd be hilarious.
I laughed and was a bit annoyed.
I've got a great example of a bad buy for me. Was when I first found Keeper. I didn't know anything about sales rank, and I wasn't even looking at the chart at all. All I did was went on that deals page, and I saw this random car part that was available for 20 quid, but for the rest of the year it was like $1,000 or like 900 quid. So I thought, I'm going to be able to buy this 20 quid and sell it for $1,000. I just wasn't looking at the rank at all. So I think I bought 3 or 4 of them. And I didn't look at the dimensions either. And bear in mind, it's this massive car part for like a Jaguar. And I'm talking, it's like over a metre wide, 3-4 kilos or something. And I just had it on my balcony for about half a year because I realised no one was going to buy it. I just had to put it in the bin. Like 80 to £100 well spent there from me. That's learn your Keeper, kids.
The FBA fees alone must have been like 20 quid. The guy's just clearing it down.
I didn't put it in FBA, luckily. I actually just had it on my flat.
No, the guy you bought it from.
Yeah. Either way. Bad buys. We're done with those now, on the whole.
You still get them sometimes. It's just part of doing business, isn't it? You make mistakes. Yeah,
exactly. Just hopefully don't make them that big, literally.
What about, should we be able to do reprices?
Sorry,
go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, in conclusion, for people, I guess what we're saying is you want to be sourcing items that are selling for a higher price. If you want to be doing small and light, you're walking a bit of a tightrope. Could be a great opportunity, a bit volatile, a bit scary. And
just make sure
kind of the main top notes.
Higher ROI with small and light. Small and light is fine. I think just go for a higher ROI so you're more covered against market fluctuations.
And also to end on a positive note, I would say even though prices are going up, it's not all doom and gloom. There's still loads of money to be made, and there's no need to get too scared away by the business model, because we've still got to remember that Amazon are doing 90% of the work for us. So if they want to charge us 10, 20% more, we've just got to work around that. And there's nothing we can do. We can't call up Jeff and say, look, you need to lower our prices. Fee increases are part of life, part of business, and especially part of Amazon. So yeah, that's all I like to say on that. So shall we move on to reprices? Tom, what would you like to start with on the repricing front?
Well, like Gav was talking about it we were talking about it off camera. So obviously we're talking about a repricer I use. It had a problem recently. A lot of people got affected by it as an error or change in the way Amazon does its data, and that affected the repricer. I still remember like something else happened like this, like years and years and years ago with someone else, another repricer. But Gavin, obviously you're trying some different repricers now. Do you want to share what they are, or like what kind of history of repricing and like why you're doing what you're doing? And why you hate the repricer that I said why you're not using?
Let's talk about Tom's repricer first. So SEK, right? I don't think it's acceptable that there was no conditional check-in on the data format that you get from Amazon. Like as a coder, there should be like checks and stuff like that against various outputs that you receive from external applications. That should always be validated. Until it wasn't validated, which basically nuked most people's listings and cause a huge cascading effect across prices across the board on Amazon UK. What this means is what happened was that STK would put items to your liquidation mode on your repricer if you're using like inventory age. And then that would mean everybody else's repricer is then matching yours. So their repricer is also going to their liquidation mode. So across the board, you'll just see a widespread price nuke, which is actually quite a hilariously savage. And I think it got resolved pretty quick though, so that's fine. But still, I don't think that should have been a problem, and I think that's a bit of a red flag. Like, the thing is, this would have happened for every repricer out there. Why is this the repricer that had the issue? Why didn't the other repricers have the issue? So rather than just accept things, I think there's questions you have to ask, and unless there's solutions to those questions, then I don't know. Then you have to start thinking elsewhere. So I wanted to use Be Cool initially, but I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's an absolute pain to upload your cost of goods to Be Cool. It's like they ask for a min price and a maximum price. Like, how am I going to know what this is? Like, I want ROI based or margin based. So now I'm using Seller Snap.
Sorry, can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Just before you start talking about Seller Snap, you use Inventory Labs, right? So uploading cogs to Be Cool, you don't even need to do because there's a sync with Inventory Labs. So as long as you upload your cogs to Inventory Labs, there's a button in Be Cool where you can just select all your listings and it sync it. So it's not a pain at all. So you don't need to do the min and max price. Just to let you know.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Be Cool nerd because I've used it for years now.
Got it. Yeah,
not that you care because you're not using it, but
so I have switched to Seller Snap for our wholesale business, and because our revenues are like $25K, I can get it at half price for 6 months. But it's still $250 a month. Still so expensive. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, that's expensive.
Yeah, the normal price is like $500 per month.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, why is it better? Why can't there be premium?
I'm still trialing it, but it has features like the yo-yo feature, which is constantly trying its best to raise the prices. I've seen on a few listings where the price is more consistently going up than consistently going down, which, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Seller Toolkit and a few other repricers will consistently price down, and they'll only price up on a sleep mode. So I can have a pricer that prices down or a pricer that's trying to price up and has many other functions around trying to raise the prices. Another thing, for example, one second.
Just
yeah.
This is my whole thing with it. Like, I understand the functionality of them, but my real question is like, do they actually affect your? Do you see what they're telling you in your numbers?
Yeah.
Should we say that's my problem?
Well, I look at the keeper graphs. If I can see what I'm after in the keeper graphs, then I'm happy.
Fine. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's because I'm quite a technical person, so I like to go into it and look. Well, I know you're more operational. You just see on a higher level by looking at some sort of KPI. Whereas for now, I'm happy jumping into the listing and looking at them very specifically to see if it's performing how I want it to perform, right? And yeah, I've seen it where the price is consistently being increased. I think it's called their yo-yo feature.
Because I think it gone.
Be Cool is the same. Be Cool go over the Ultra and raise the reprice. The specific thing that I was talking about, that I was going to mention for Seller Snap, is that let's say you're selling your item at $24, right? And Amazon is offering it at $22 to the customer at discount, but you're still getting $24 sale price. Seller Snap will raise it to the maximum price within that discount that you can get. But stuff like that is pretty cool as well.
Wait, say that again?
So let's say you're selling an item at $24, you got it for sale at $24, but Amazon is offering it to the customer at $22, and they're offering the customer a $2 discount. So most repricers would not pick up on that. Seller Snap picks up on that and then raises it to the highest price within that discount. So the price doesn't change for the customer, but you get a higher sale price, and Amazon just covers it, right?
Sounds like it's
I'm
not
happy to try this
not necessarily catered for books, but
yeah,
sounds good.
I think I'm just happy to try it out for like 6 months, see how it goes, and then
It's just a lot.
Yeah,
I just think it's it's a lot of money. Would you pay $500?
Yeah, because
initial impressions now.
Because if the way I see of it, a lot of the items in my wholesale business has very low offer count. If I have something that's consistently trying to raise the prices, I can really squeeze out some good margins there. That can make a huge difference because I have less competition, so I have more wiggle room with the price. And if I have more wiggle room with the price, right, that means I can raise it more.
Yeah, because you can do the yo-yo thing on Be Cool, but you just have to schedule a rule to work out a couple of hours a day, and then you have to go back to your original rule or whatever rule you want to set. So you could save, if that's the only thing, one of the main draws of Seller Snap, then you can definitely do that with other repricers. It's just about learning what your repricer does, isn't it? That's what Scott Needham says, right, Tom? So he said does he use Seller Snap? But he just says you just find the one that you know the best, you know the most about, and that you like the most, and then you're most proficient at, because ultimately they all do the same thing. Like Be Cool, for example, have these AI rules, which I used to think were really good, and we've just stopped using them because I realised they're probably not artificial intelligence. It's potentially just marketing. I don't actually think it's BS.
They're rule-based, but they just have a lot more rules. Rule-based, but they have a lot more rules than the rules they offer you. It's a lot more specific in terms of what they do in certain scenarios, which I think can be very valuable, to be honest, if you know what it does.
But then I think that's the problem. Like, my biggest problem, say, for example, I use Go Aurora, and my problem was that I wanted to see, like, the P&L behind it. Like, it shows you the ROI overall, but it doesn't show you ROI per product. And I was like, I want to see the ROI. Why? Because I want to dig into the detail of like what's going on with each product and how it's doing what it's doing. And when you talk about like AI repricers, my problem comes is I want to know what it's doing and why it's doing what it's doing. Because then if I agree with it, fantastic. Or if I don't, then I'm like, I'm not going to use it again. But if I can't see that, then I'm like, basically, it's kind of like, I want to test. I want to understand. And AI is kind of like, we're going to hide it in this black box, and you might figure it out, you might not.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for lazy sellers, right? People who don't want the
and most people
control.
are lazy.
They're happy. Yeah, they're happy to give the control away in the hope, or the hope that it's going to do a better job than they could. But ultimately, it probably isn't. It gives you one less thing to worry about. But I'll give a very obvious tip that everyone should be doing anyway. But for some reason, I only just realised this week after selling FBM for 4 months that our main rule that I've used since starting using BeCool 4.5 years ago or 4 years ago, I wasn't matching my FBM offers with it. Like, I wasn't competing with FBM, right? Because I've always sold FBA. So I've realised that every FBM listing that we've got, which is thousands at this point, hasn't been competing with FBM. So no wonder last week we saw a massive shoot up in sales because we're actually competing with FBM now. So it's like, so people listening, don't be a moron like me. Please check your rules periodically so that they're doing what you want. So I've cleared a few issues there.
Let me ask you a question, because I think it poses a really good question. What happened there? Basically, Seth wasn't checking in on his business to kind of like just sense check, and as a result, well, you did obviously, but after your thing. So like the question I want to ask you is like, what checks do you do on a weekly, monthly basis, just to kind of like spot check things? If anyone's watching, that might be quite helpful. Gavin, what about you? What about yourself? Like roughly like a couple of things that you check quite regularly that you're quite interested in. You talked about, I look at sales versus keeper when we're repricing, for example.
Yeah, I look at the orders as well. I flip through the orders on SDK quite a lot, just to like see if the margins and the ROI make sense. I also have an email for every card transaction that goes through. I get sent an email saying like, your card transaction is over $10, so here's what it was. So I sometimes just have a look at that as well when I'm bored, just to make sure the transactions all make sense too. And then just random stuff like account health, voice of the customer, feedback. I'll have a look at the repricing rules just to make sure everything looks healthy. It's like when you're just bored, when I'm bored, I just start having a look at things.
That's good. Seth, how did you spot that issue? Let me ask that question.
So I'll mention just a couple of things that popped into my head. So when you are a UK limited company seller, you have to do a VAT return. So every 3 months you have to do a VAT return, which means that I have to send my credit card statements and bank statements off to my accountant. So every time I do that, I will have a pretty solid spot check of all the transactions, like Gav said, just to see if there's anything that looks a bit odd or anything that looks a bit large for what the description on the row is. And I will periodically look at my repricer, which happens to be BeCool at the moment. I've got a number of filters set up, so I'll just like look at some recent listings, some older listings, just to see if my team are doing what I want them to do. Are they pricing too high, too low? Are we actually like within the range that I want them to be? And I actually only found out about that mistake with the rule. It was just one of those random things where you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I've realised that I've just totally screwed up our rule. It actually just came to me. It wasn't me that found that. Like, the universe just gave me that bit of inspiration for some reason, which was weird. And then I always check our buy sheet every so often. So I will, for example, this week I did about 70 minutes of looms to everyone on my team. I did a 10-minute walkthrough of 4 or 5 ASINs that they bought, told them what if I thought they were good or not. If they were good, why are they good buys? If they're bad, why are they bad buys? What can we do to improve? What can we do to change? So I will check in with my team and stuff like that. So it's pretty much buy side, estimated sales price, and bank statements are the main things that I will keep spot check. And like Gav says, it's when you've got a bored moment and you're not really sure what to do. I do like to keep tabs on things, and that's probably something I shouldn't be doing, because the team should be doing that, or like my purchasing manager should be doing some of those things, or ops manager. But as we said last week, you are the only one that cares as much about your business as, but you know what I mean. I'm the only one that's going to care enough. So yeah.
And by the way, you don't know if they're caring because you're not checking in, if that makes sense. As in, like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, it could be the case that they forgot something, slipped something, and if you're not checking it, you're like, hey man, what's going on here? If I give you a really interesting one, we do our, what's it called, our cash flow, and we had a transaction come out, and basically about 4 weeks ago we had a problem whereby something like went wrong. Like, we kind of, I think I told you, an Amex payment bounced, and one of the things, and by the way, I didn't change it then, and I've only really thought about it this week, is like, we need to be making a prediction about what's going to happen, which is our cash flow forecasting, and then we need to record what's actually happening and looking for the variance to say, oh, why is this not really, like, where are things going wrong? Like, if everything's going according to plan, that means we're doing a good job. But if things aren't going towards the plan, then we've got a problem. So, but I think, as leaders and owners, we have to be checking on our businesses. And my God, like, I've met so many people who have, Tom, I want to hire a VA. But they need to be good. I'm like, why do they need to be good? They're like, because I'm not very good. They need to show me what to do. And it's like, what? And it's like, they're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And if you go down that mindset, even if the VA is good, they're probably going to fail because the leader isn't checking the business and making sure the VA is doing a good job. It's so common, so common. Because why? We're inherently lazy as human beings, and it's hard work. Running businesses is hard, and it doesn't get any easier. You just get better at doing it. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to do more of those, like, check-ins, should we say. Go on, Gavin.
My wholesale admin VA, I recently fired this guy recently. So we've been having a few reconciliation problems with a few of our suppliers, right? This guy would send the initial email. I'd like asking him for a day's summary. So I'm like, okay, it looks like he's looking into it all. And then like 3 weeks later, what I realized, he's sending the summary, he's doing a little bit of chasing, and then he just drops it and moves on to the next one. And on top of that, it was also like 2 months behind. And I'm like, and that's because admin is my weak spot by far. Admin is massively my weak spot. I'm really bad at admin. So it's the stuff I try and like stay away from a little bit more. And definitely me staying away from admin, like probably led to this position. As much as it's his fault, it's also my fault for not being more involved in the initial admin work. And that left me in the position where like, okay, we are so far behind in admin that all I've done for like the last 2 weeks is admin, just fixing all this shit.
Yeah, my analogy on that is admin and what we're just talking about, doing your housekeeping in your business, doing your checkups. It's just like cleaning. Like, I do not want to clean my flat, and sometimes I leave it a little bit too long. But when you do it, you feel so good afterwards. It's just that initial like getting round to doing it, but you know that it's going to improve your mental well-being, and it's going to smell nice, it's going to look nice, it's going to be presentable for everyone else. Like, your business is going to improve when you do those checkups as regularly as possible. And I do fall prey to not doing them enough. I should really just like schedule them in like a day a month into my calendar, just like block out like 4 hours and just be like, this is when you need to do it, and you need to do it, get those things done, because I don't really have a system like that, because that would definitely improve. Like, another example of checkups is like your turn rate, right? I know for a fact that pretty much every bookseller who's doing well, all the mega sellers, all the best FBA sellers, they've got a 1% turn rate. So if you're anything close to that or above that, you're doing amazingly. So whenever I see that dropping a bit, we're not at 1% at the moment, I know that there's something wrong, whether it is in our pricing, whether it's in the buy side. So there's little checks you can make like that are super important. But yeah.
But it's always going to change. Like, it's not like, right, I've got the 5 checks I need to do, that's my business done. It's like, no, because the market is always changing. We always need to keep understanding, oh, this is changing. I didn't even realize about that. Like, it's hard, but again, it's going to be the same as Gavin jumping into details. So, should we move on to hotels? Because Gavin wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
Seth and I had no idea why.
I'm going to London soon. It's going to be my first experience ever in a 5-star hotel.
Where are you going?
Pardon?
When and where?
I'm going to London on, I think it's like it's like the 3rd or 4th of May. Basically, Seth, I'm going to send an apostled birth certificate to your place and an apostled criminal check. I'm getting that, doing a few other things in the UK quickly, and then flying back out. Then I'm off to Mexico.
Residency?
Yeah, I'm planning to get residency. So
and
yeah,
then, go on.
I'm staying in the UK for a couple of days, and I wanna now stay in a 5-star hotel. I wanna see what it's like.
Which hotel?
I don't know. I have no idea. I want one that's near Hyde Park, so I can wake up and go for a run.
Yeah, stay at one of the Park Lane ones. There's a few on the Marriott site that I've seen that look really nice when I've walked past. Do Park Lane. We'll do an Amazon meetup in Hyde Park, and I'll bring the tinnies.
5-star hotel with titties. I love it. Should live in the dream.
And then I guess the question is like, how do you determine, because you're like a 5-star hotel expert now, how do you determine which ones are the best ones to go to for the best
So if you're
service?
doing
Google
Marriott, which I
reviews.
know, yeah, generally I look at Marriott. So you generally have they have different levels of hotels. So like your Ritz Carltons, your St Regis, they're the top end, and then you still get your JD Marriotts there as well. But you still get 5-star, which are like the Westons, for example. I think my advice would be go onto the booking platform for Marriott and look at the reviews within that. They're generally quite good. They'll tell. So yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like, if I was going to leave a review for a 5-star hotel, I'm probably going to leave a good review anywhere I go because I have no experience. So anything to me will be really good. And
There
does
are
that
different
factor
levels.
Into,
To 5-star. Go on. Does that?
So you want to stay at a crap? You want to stay at a crap one then, because then the next one you go to will be better. You don't want to start at the top and make your way down.
Like flying first class. I went straight from economy to first class, and I didn't even want to fly business class after that. I want to do the same for 5-star hotels. It's more motivation.
Why don't you just stop beating around the bush and just stay at that hostel again, and we can play on that terrible pool table?
You just want that bird again, eh? Shall I message you?
No, please don't.
Do you want to tell your story about that hostel there?
No, not that's not for air. It's not for air time.
Not for air.
Okay.
So it involves
on that note,
my shoe.
Guys, so the first two episodes have now been edited. I need to review them and then publish them out. It's going to start off like episode 8, 9, or 10 because those are the only ones I can get access to. But we can start publishing from there. It's fine, and then we can backfill the later ones.
Yeah, they're not exactly chronological. They're more thematical, so we can just put them out in whatever order until we get onto a level playing field. But so for everyone listening, hope you got value from that on repricing and the current state of the FBA fee market. Next week, I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it'll be action-packed and filled with good value content. So Gavin and Tom, thanks for joining on the call. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching and listening again. Ciao for now.
Ciao.
Peace out. Bye-bye.